Everybody in this room wants two things. Everybody wants to be successful and everybody wants to be happy. But I'm gonna tell you what you're gonna have to do. You're gonna change your mindset. I ain't got no more than none of y'all got. God gave me the same thing he gave y'all. He don't love me more than he loved you. But you have got to change your mindset. If you think that they're gonna mail this money to your house, you're dead wrong about that. If you want to be successful, you got to change your mind, and you're gonna have to have some faith.
My mentor said, learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. I got the message. Then he added, if you work hard on your job, you can make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you could make a fortune. I had never heard that kind of philosophy before. He said, success is something you attract by the person you become. Success is not something you pursue. Success is something you develop, something you become. You attract success. To attract attractive people, you must be attractive. To attract committed people, you must be committed. So the whole key to unlock all the treasures is by your own personal development. And then he added one more, which is so important. Here it is. What you become is much more valuable than what you get. The major question to ask on the job is not what am I getting here? The major question to ask on the job is what am I becoming here? Because what you become attracts. If you become cynical, you attract cynicism. So this whole subject of personal development was so vitally important to me. I was a millionaire by age 31, and that was just the economic part of it. It was unbelievable.
To me, success is like knowing the combination to a lock. If you know the combination to a lock, it doesn't matter if you're male or female, you're 55 or you're 16, your IQ is 150 or your IQ is 93. And the problem is, most of us are going through life and we don't know the combination. And if you know a system always produces a predictable result. And so I want to share with you the basics of a system that works. No matter what you're starting out at, wherever you are, it will work for you. Now, the promise I always make people is threefold. If you do this work and you apply it to your life, and the key is apply it, not just listen to it. Now, Jim Rohn says you can't hire other people to do your push-ups for you. I love that quote. There are things that no one else can do for you. So the first principle building on that says you must take 100% responsibility for your life and your results. And what that means is you have to give up all blaming, all looking out at the world and saying, well, if the world were different, then I would be better off. We go through all these things where we say, if it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for the war, if it wasn't for him, if it wasn't for her, then my life would be working perfectly. But there's a little formula I learned. It says E plus R equals O. And what that stands for are the events in your life. You have a response to them, and that creates outcomes. For example, if I put $200 in front of you and you go out and party with it, but if I put that $200 in front of you, that's the event. Your response is you invested, so now your net worth went up. Same event, different responses. Basically, it's not what people say to you. It's not what they do to you. And if you want a different outcome, because E plus R equals O is like 2 plus 2 equals 4, responsibility means you have the ability to change your response to something other than what you're currently doing. So basically, we are responsible to change our behavior until we get the outcomes we want. I want to give you a business example. A friend of mine during the first Gulf War was a Lexus dealer, and people stopped coming in to buy Lexuses. They were all watching CNN and CNBC, and plus we were having a minor recession, so people were holding on to their discretionary income. He said to his staff, E plus R equals O. There's a war. Our response is we've been doing the same thing. We better do something different. So they tried 4 things. They said, if the people aren't coming to us, let's take cars to where they are. So they would go out with 5 or 6 Lexuses, and they'd go to a party. They go up and say, Tom, what do you do for a living? And then I would say, have you ever driven a Lexus? You know, we have a new LS400 outside, never been ridden by anyone. It's got the new seats that have the air that comes out that can keep you warm or keep you hot. Would you like to take a little spin with me, see what it's like? Now, you come back in. Let me ask you a question. How many of you have ever test driven a new luxury car and then got back in your old car. Well, they ended up selling over 60% of the people they did that with a new car within 2 weeks. And if you keep experimenting like that, you'll find the R that works, but you have to be willing to take a risk. And the reason most of us don't do that is we don't want to feel uncomfortable, because all new things require discomfort. Now, most of you remember learning to drive a car, but after a couple months, you're there driving with your knee, you got a Big Mac in your left hand, you're breaking up a fight in the back seat with the kids with your right hand. But you have to be willing to go through that awkward, uncomfortable stage. So what I want you to do is to realize that life is an experiment. You have lots of responses that are possible. So there's 3 kinds of responses. Number 1 is your behavior. Number 2 is your thoughts. Number 3 is the images you hold in your head. What you say and do, the thoughts you think, and the imageries that you hold inside your head. When you say, I can't, when you focus on your failures instead of your successes, and when you surround yourself with people who are judgmental rather than encouraging and empowering, it actually has a physical effect on you. So we have to be very careful where we place ourselves and who we hang out with and who we surround ourselves with. And one of the principles here is you have to eliminate the phrase, I can't, from your vocabulary. I'll try. Those are all ways of saying I'm not capable. Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or think you can't, either way, you're right. Because if you think you can, you will try. And if you try, you're probably going to pull it off. And if you think you can't, you won't. And if you don't try, then you're not going to get it done at all. Make sense? I can tell you story after story. I met a kid named Kyle Maynard last year. He has no legs past the knees. He was the number 2 wrestler in the state of Georgia his senior year in high school. He can type 150 words a minute with the stubs of his arms. When I hear that and I look at these people, I think, what's my excuse? There's nothing you can't do. And all those people that are out there that are doing anything that you go, wow, that's great, is just a model for you that says this is possible. And if they can do it, I can do it. Now, another principle is you've got to surround yourself with positive people. Jim Rohn said, again, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If your friends are victims and their lives aren't working and their marriages don't work and they're not making money, that's a reflection back. And what I teach people is always try to get with the people that are the next level up. Get in their space, learn what they do, how they think, etc. General Wesley Clark, who I interviewed, said, it doesn't take any more effort to dream a big dream than it takes to dream a small dream. Most people hone down their dream because they can't see how they can do it. Dream as big as you want. Big dreams are exciting. Big dreams attract big people. Walt Disney said, if you can dream it, you can do it. You may have to learn some new skills. You may have to partner up with some people. But all of that is possible if you'll simply dream the big dream. Does that make sense? So trust your dreams.
Here's what I realized. That if you're not willing to take a chance on you and reach beyond your comfort zone, you'll never discover the greatness that you have within yourself to experience more. Do something beyond your comfort zone. Learn something new so you can see what's in you. So you want to maximize this time. You want to make your move right now. If you're not willing to learn anything new, no one can help you. But if you're willing to learn something new, no one can stop you. So the people that are going to come out on top, they're hungry. Most people are conditioned to do just enough to keep from getting fired, where they've been paid just enough to keep from quitting. You got to be hungry. You have to get your stuff together. Doing just enough to get by? No. Anything can be mastered if you're willing to put in the time and focus yourself on learning how to do that to make yourself stand out. Do not go where the path may lead. Go where there's no path and leave a trail.
I want you to max out your life. I want you to max out your business. See, you were made to do something great with your life. Every single day has to be a pursuit to get better, to grow. You got to get a little bit more intense. You got to stop being so dadgum casual.